Hi foodies, it's me. I thought I would do a live because I've gotten this request question in the last couple of weeks. I've heard from some of our members and they have been asking me how quickly did things change for us? How did our numbers change, our health, blood work? We have a lot of members coming in because they're coming in because of their health and they're wanting to reverse their diseases. So I wanted to kind of answer it from our perspective. I always share from our perspective. And remember, we're not doctors. We are just regular humans that did something naturally to reverse our diseases and improve our health. So I like sharing with you guys from our perspective. And then whatever takeaway that you can apply into your life and make it better, then I hope that you take away from what we've been able to do. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about that I've been getting a lot of questions on is the two words that come to mind are frustration and patience. So when I hear from members, they're frustrated because they want things to change quickly. And this is a health journey. It's a life journey. If you've made the decision to work on your health, you have to approach it as a health journey, not as a diet. So you have to let go of the frustration and you have to realize that because it's a life journey, we need to bring the patience in. So if you're working on different diseases or chronic diseases that you're trying to reverse, like for example, we were diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. I had a slew of issues with my perimenopause and menopause, huge list worth hot flashes and couldn't sleep and reflux and acne and joint pain and inflammation and arthritis, migraines. I mean, you name it. I had a big long list. So those aren't necessarily chronic diseases. They were, I think, attached to my menopause and perimenopause, probably also issues relating from what I had in my gut and what I was eating, a lot of saturated fats, which now I know the saturated fats combined with the dairy were causing a lot of issues in my gut and giving me reflux and issues with my gastro. So in order to reverse all these, a lot of us go into it and we go into diets thinking diets are for a month or a week or this, and we're focused on, oh, I want to lose 5 pounds and 7 pounds a week, which is not realistic, because when we do that and we go on these fasts and diets and we're losing weight quickly, it's going to gain back when you naturally go back to eating meals where you're sitting down and having dishes and snacks and such. So your body's going to revert to taking what it can from calories and fat and the things that we intake and put the weight back on. So that's why this is a health journey. We begin it because of the health, not the losing weight, but focusing on bringing in the health to then attack all the things that you want to fix. So take away the diet part. I never like to hear the diet part when I'm talking about our health journey. I never refer to it as a diet. If I refer to it as a diet ever by mistake, I intend it to mean a health journey. And the sole purpose is, the primary purpose is the health part of it. So reversing the diseases, improving them. So having said that, a lot of the frustration that I hear from people that reach out to me that have been working on themselves, working on their health journey, are wanting all of their numbers and all of their things to reverse quickly and at the same time. And that doesn't occur because there's a couple of things. Each person begins at a different place. So you guys can't compare yourself to where I began. I can't compare myself to where my husband began, even though I began at the same exact time as him. So he had bigger issues than I did, I would say, because there was medications involved for him. For me, there weren't medications, but I had the diabetes that wasn't medicated, and I had the cholesterol, high cholesterol that wasn't medicated. So I had to reverse my things, and he had to reverse his things that he'd had for much, much longer than I had. So as you can see, us as an example, we're starting from different points, even though we began the same exact date. So bringing back and improving the things that I had and him improving the things that he had takes different amount of times. Then also each body is different, and certain chronic diseases improve quicker in people at different rates. So some people's blood pressure might normalize quicker than they would their cholesterol, and vice versa. A1C might move quicker to good numbers in a person than maybe the cholesterol and the blood pressure. Historically, usually the cholesterol comes down last, and usually blood pressure and A1C, blood glucoses, start coming down quicker. Having said that, you have to be in tune with your body, and you have to be in conversation with your doctor if you're on medications, because when you start a whole foods plant-based diet, it can very quickly improve. And if you're on medications, you have to be in tune with your body, because if you start feeling faint, if you start feeling weird, if you start feeling woozy, if you have inclinations to passing out, it could be that your medication needs to be adjusted, and that's a conversation that you have to have with your doctor. So some of the examples that I can give off of that is at some of the Plant Strong summits that the Esselsteins do, where they've had, I'll give you an exact example. Jane Esselstein, when we went to go see her, she works with children, and she's done a lot of research in reversing diseases with children. And they did 2 particular studies that she talked about, where the children were coming in with high cholesterol and diabetes, and they were working on reversing these kids' diseases. So they were teaching them to eat right, and they were bringing them into a camp where they would be going to be fed the food to fix their diet. And within a day or two, by the 3rd day, they were having kids that were faint and passing out. So they kind of joke about it, that they have to really closely monitor them, because if not, they can chip teeth, pass out, hit their head, get hurt. So this is something that you need to consider, because a lot of people don't realize that this is going to happen. And when it happens and they're feeling ill because the medication is giving you doses, and it's not necessarily, your body is normalizing quickly, and the medication's in your body, so it's contraindicative. So that's why you have to have a conversation with your doctor. And they need to monitor you, not just by you telling them, but by blood work, because you might have to have medication adjustments. So that was the particular case for us. My husband has always been a blood glucose reader. He always takes his blood glucose every morning. And every 3 months we go for blood work and get our A1C and lipid panel and all of that checked. And his numbers within a week or 2 started changing, and his blood glucose numbers started changing very quickly. He started feeling faint because his blood pressure was trying to come down, and he was on medication. So these were conversations that we started having with my sister that was helping us, but we were also having them with his own physician, and he was reaching out to them through the portal, letting them know the things that were happening. We let our physician know that we were beginning this. So when he started feeling faint and he started feeling woozy and such, we knew that it was probably adjustments in his blood pressure sorry, I'm tongue-tied today. Medication that were needing to be looked at, and also potentially his other medications. So for him, the quickest thing that he visually saw was his blood glucose numbers. Now, when you go every 3 months to get your blood work done, normally it gets done every 3 months, because some people get them done every 6 months, some people get them done every year, depending on what your health looks like. And then he was getting them done every 3 months so that they could regulate his medications, and so they could look at everything that was going on in his body. So it's an average. So you don't want to do it every month. You don't want to do it every 2 months. You want to do it on that 3 month mark or every 6 months. So if you're on a lot of medications, they usually have you go every 3 months. So as soon as we did that first, for us, it's a little bit different. We actually had blood work right before we began. And we went and got blood work, even though we had a prior blood work by a month or two before we began. We had blood work done right before we began, like a day or two before we began. And then 4 weeks later, we had the blood work again because we wanted to see if there were changes happening. And then we did the 3 month mark. So we have charts and Excel spreadsheets and everything, and we can see the drastic change on how our health history started coming down. And even me, I went to the doctor today for my checkup, and the chart is just down as an improvement. So we were here, and it's just a constant improvement. So today, what I want to focus on is that frustration that I hear sometimes from members wanting for things to change quickly. You have to be patient. Some of the diseases, like diabetes, cholesterol, and high blood pressure, are going to come down at different rates. So when you go to the doctor and you have that blood work and you're seeing that your A1C is coming down, but maybe the cholesterol is not necessarily coming down, and then the blood pressure is coming down, but maybe not as quickly as you want, they're all going to have their own timeline. Each chronic issue or disease that you have are going to have their own individual timeline. So it's not going to be like you're going in for that 3 month report card and it's going to be like you want A's on all of them. What you want to see is progress. That's what we're looking for. So we need to move from frustration to patience to looking for that progress. Frustration, patience, and looking for that progress. Even if you are stable on one thing and it didn't budge or come down, even if it's smidged up, if you're progressing in other areas, you're doing amazing. So you need to pat yourself on the back. And if right now you don't have those blood work numbers and you're seeing the scale come down, then you know that when you're going to go to the doctor, you're going to see blood work changes of improvement. So those are visual cues that are going to help you along in the process. For us, the before and after, a lot of people say, well, how do you have so many before and after pictures? That's a thing for me. That was a motivator. It is a motivator still. So I take all of our befores and we take constant now pictures. And sometimes I think you guys are going to get tired of them, but that is something that I do for me. I really don't care if anybody does get tired of it because that is something that I do for me. And then my husband started seeing the changes when I would give him his before and after pictures. And then he started saying, can you do some more? Like when he was feeling a little uncertain that things weren't changing, especially when we kind of are now, like I'm now in a maintenance. So now my body's not necessarily changing in weight. What it's doing is changing in toning because we're, doing the exercise and the weights, and we want to keep up with our weights so that we build muscle and strength, because now we don't necessarily want like these perfect bodies. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for health. I want to be older and be able to lift my groceries and go up a flight of stairs and play with future grandchildren and run around with them without getting winded and tired and being able to squat on the ground. I want to be able to do all those things. So that's the focus of our exercise. Strength and weights and things that we do are for that reason. Now, does it tone our body? Yes. Do we see a difference? Can we put it in a before and after picture and motivate ourselves? Absolutely. If you're looking at yourself and you're seeing the changes, those things motivate us. So frustration, don't get frustrated. If you do, then look at what good you've done and jot it down. If you're getting blood work, jot the ones that have the A+ on it, that have the improvement, B plus, whatever, even if it's a C plus in your head, it's an improvement from where you were. Let's assume that we're beginning at all Fs and you're bringing it up like a report card. So what you're looking for is improvements. Now, another example is once they start removing medications, if you get to the point where you are removing medications, then there's going to be another level of frustration that people don't realize. When they start removing medications, your body is trying to become and be normal. So every time that you eat, you have the opportunity of hurting your body, or you have the opportunity of healing your body. So everything that you put in your mouth, you're either hurting yourself and creating disease, or you're healing yourself and giving yourself all the things through nature and food that you need to fix yourself. So your body, when it gets removed of medications, it gets a little confused because it was medicated. So for us, when medications started to come down, particularly for Jay, then the body goes into, so we go through a period of, yay, medications are being removed. Yay, we've reversed this and this is getting normalized. And yay, and you're getting so excited. And then suddenly we've removed the medications and you think you're all good. This is a health journey. It's a life journey. So what happens? The next 3 months when you go for blood work again, some things might have improved. Some things might have actually gotten a little worse. Why? Because your body is trying to do it on its own without medications. So even though a cholesterol number might go up a little, it's your body doing it. So even if it might have increased a little bit and it's still down from where it was with medications, it's an improvement. So you have to take those things into consideration too. So as over time, every 3 months, every 6 months, whenever you get your blood work done, over long term is what we're looking for. So as each time comes for that report card with the doctor, as each cycle comes, you're going to see improvements. You're going to see how things are getting better, but you have to remind yourself. And for us, it was my sister, because we would, and hopefully it's your doctor, and hopefully the words that I'm telling you are in your head for if your doctor doesn't do it. And if you're, I know not doctors nowadays, when we go, it's like these 5-minute visits that are like boom, 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 and you're out. So I hope that your words help you and they stick in your head so that when you go through these situations, you remember that. My sister was that for us, because we would go to the doctor, we would get the blood work done, and suddenly it would be like, oh no, the report card said that we have, that Jay's cholesterol went up a little bit more. And then we would discuss it with her and she would be like, well, but he's off medications. So his body's doing it. So it's still below what it was on medications, and it creeped up a tiny bit because your body is now trying to do it. And then the next time it was a yay because your body was doing it, 0 medications for the next cycle. And then you see how it's now coming down. So patience is required. Patience and looking at those numbers closely and thinking about, am I on medications? Am I not on medications? Did they reduce me? But I'm still doing amazing. And, motivating yourself in that way. Now, we have been doing this 15 months and 16 months. And now we're at the point where everything has normalized. And the key is every time that we go for our blood work, making sure that our numbers are still well and good, that they don't increase ever into a bad range. And now we're in such a good range that the span of trying to creep into a bad range is so big that it would be very drastic for us to have to go into bad ranges of our blood work. But what is important is that we still continue to do our blood work. If he does it every 3 months, I still continue to do mine every 3 months. Why? Because we're whole food plant-based. We want to make sure that we're doing our intake. That's why I talk about nutrition and all that nutrition that you guys are supposed to pack and power punch into your foods. We want to make sure that we're getting enough B12, that we're getting enough vitamin D, that we're getting enough nutrients, minerals, vitamins, and so that nothing becomes deficient, that iron doesn't become deficient, that we're getting enough beans and legumes, that we are absorbing it into our body correctly. Sometimes our body might get sick, or if you got the flu, or if you got COVID, or this or that, it might bring your defenses down, and maybe the absorption level of all of the vitamins and minerals and things that you're eating didn't go into your body the way that it should have. So that's why it's important to monitor. You don't just go, oh, reverse diseases, I'm gone, I'm done, I can just go back to the way I was living. No, this is a health journey. So we monitor it. We make sure that our B12 levels are good. If our doctor forgets to put those orders in, we remind the doctor to do iron levels, B12, vitamin D, lipid panels, A1C, glucose, all of those numbers we personally request each and every time we do our blood work. And if the doctors ever miss it, we tell the blood lab, or we call the doctor and we say, hey, the vitamin D was missed, the B12 was missed, because we want to make sure that we don't become deficient on any of those things. And and I'll give you an example. I power pack my food, and I power pack our meals, and I tell all of you that you need to eat beans and legumes 2 or 3 times a day. A day you have to have beans and legumes. I have my beans in the morning in the form of soy yogurt, so that is soybeans in my soy yogurt. For lunch, I always try to have us have some type of bean or legumes, a full serving, sometimes a full serving and a half, and then for dinner also. And I tell you guys that. And there was one tiny quarter that I must have not been power packing it enough. And the other key clencher is that when you're doing the beans and legumes, you should be adding citrus while you're eating them. So either lime dressing, or bell peppers that have a lot of vitamin C, or vitamin C enriched foods. As long as you're using vitamin C enriched foods on the same plate when you eat your beans, that vitamin C enriched food is going to help the iron absorption into your body. So I must have faltered in that quarter. And I, since a little girl, have had iron deficiencies. So every once in a while, when my body went to iron deficiencies, I would have to do stuff. And when I was with my parents and I was little, my mom would have to go into feeding me stuff to give me more iron into my body. And then as an adult, I started having to do it for myself. And when the doctor would tell me that I was iron deficient, I would go back into eating more iron and things that I needed to pump up my iron levels. So I have been fantastic with my iron levels with plant-based, because my sister was very good at explaining to me what I should do with the vitamin C enriched foods and eating beans and legumes at every single day, at every meal, so that you have your iron intake, so that you are sure to get your iron levels in check and okay. And even though I am the one telling you guys this, I did not get enough iron levels, and my iron crept down below the level just a smidge. And then I went to go donate blood, and I did not know. I thought I was doing a good thing, and I didn't know that I was anemic, because I had not stepped into the doctor's office yet, and they had not given me my blood work. So I thought I was doing a great thing, and Jay and I went to go donate blood, and I donated blood, and it was quite the disaster. So like all 3 nurses on me, I started having cramps and passed out, and eyeballs rolling back into my head, like really bad. And so having donated the blood, that depleted me. So now I'm having to build up my levels. Well, how am I building up my levels? I'm doubling up on my beans and legumes. I'm making sure that I have my citrus. I'm taking an iron supplement that is natural, because sometimes iron supplements don't agree with people's bodies. So my sister has helped me pick one. And so I'm actively working on it. The difference is that when I was not plant-based and I went iron deficient, the irony and the difference, my doctors used to tell me, just eat more meat. And ironically, meat, and animal causes the fat, the saturated fat in the animal causes the plaque in the arteries, and eventually it also increases chances for your A1C going up, because the insulin resistance happens and your body can't process the insulin correctly. So irony that my doctors all my life have told me, just go eat more meat, just go eat more meat. And now, whenever iron deficiency happens, which has only happened one time in my plant-based life, it's I can do it through beans and legumes. I can do it through things that are not hurting me. They're helping me, and they're adding everything that I need into my body. So this is why we have to be very in tune. Some of you are not going to have the opportunity to have blood work every 3 months like we have been able to do. Some will only be able to do it every 6 months or every year, but do it so that you're aware, and then be hyper aware of the things that you are putting into your body, and actively work at making sure that you're balancing the nutrition. So when I tell you guys about that plate balance, I know that a lot of you guys want that plate balance for losing weight. But you should always be very aware that that plate balance needs to have, when I talk about plate balance, I'm not just talking about the plate for balancing to lose weight or maintain weight. I'm also talking about the plate balance of nutrition. So you need to have the starches, the grains, the beans, the legumes, the cruciferous veggies. Look at your plate like it's a vitamin bottle that you are filling it with multivitamins, and multi means a lot. So the more that you have on your plate, the more colorful your plate is, the more nutrition you're going to have on it. And then if you add those power foods that I always talk about, my power 5 now, because now I found chia powder, chia seeds, chia powder, flax meal, nutritional yeast, and hemp hearts. Those are my go-tos. There's so many other things that you could add to, like black cumin. There's so many, turmeric and ginger. Those things are things that I do add to our stuff throughout the day. But the ones that I love to say that you can hide in everything, the one that's a little hard is the chia seeds, because the little seeds you can't really hide in too many foods. But now I've figured out that I can grind them, or I can buy the chia powder already made. And if I can sneak in, 4 of those 5 in a recipe in lentils, I will. If I can sneak it into my black beans, I will. If I can sneak it into a sauce, into a spaghetti sauce, into a red sauce, I will. So, and most of the time your family is not going to notice. It's just going to add an umami and a flavor. Nooch adds like an umami and a flavor to foods. I was talking to somebody earlier that was telling me that they don't like nutritional yeast. One of the things about nutritional yeast is you shouldn't be getting the fortified nutritional yeast. Get the regular nutritional yeast. And the fortified nutritional yeast is not necessary, and it's to me, it doesn't process well in the body, and it's kind of like a bomb. And a lot of people don't realize that the fortified nutritional yeast can kind of hit you like very heavy. So if you're having that issue, go for the non-fortified nutritional yeast. So add those things, power pack your meals with any of those things. So that is kind of what I wanted to cover today. The frustration, patience, and then you guys need to look for the progress. So don't get frustrated at wanting those numbers, weight to come down quickly, A1Cs and cholesterol and blood pressure, they are going to work. The things that you have to take into consideration, where you started, where your numbers were, how much you have to go down, how much weight do you have to lose, if any, where you are in the plant-based spectrum. Are you 50%? Are you 10%? Are you 20%? Are you 100%? A person that is committing the whole plant-based lifestyle. We're about 95%. I've always said that we're about 95%, and I'll explain why in a second. But if you're 50%, our progress is going to be quicker than your 50%. So you have to also consider that. So you can't, no, none of us, not me, not my husband. I can't compare myself to my husband and his progress and my progress. You guys can't compare yourself to us. You have to take into consideration where you are in your process, where you're beginning, and where you are in the plant-based spectrum. I always say that all of our members, no matter if you're plant curious or if you're plant full, all of our members are welcome on this page, and I don't care what level you're on. I'm never going to tell you that you have to be my 95%. I'm never going to tell you that you have to be 100. That's a decision that you have to make personally and where you are in your health. We have some members that have started at 80% plant-based and have moved up to 90, have moved up to 95, and have personally told me that they're now choosing 100 because their health is needing that. And so that is a personal decision that you have to make. We have personally decided 95% because we do have seafood once a week, maybe twice a week, never at home. Usually if we have it, it is out at a restaurant. If we can find plant-based, that is a very good plant-based option, we choose that over seafood. But if there's not a good plant-based option, then we choose the seafood so that we have that option. But we don't cook it at home. We don't cook animal at home. We choose to be 100% plant-based at home. So that is our level. The other thing that I say is, and I always say this to my husband, and I was talking with one of you that is online right now, and she's gonna know what I'm talking about. I always say that we enjoyed the heck out of the first 5 decades of our life, and we were never big drinkers and have never been big drinkers. We might drink once or twice a week ever, and we were never like more than 2 drinks, and rarely 3 drinks. And so we had too much fun with food, and we already enjoyed the drink part. So what's important for us is not the, oh, but I'm going to miss steak and I'm going to miss this and I'm going to miss that. What's important is we don't want to miss life, and we don't want to get to retirement and not be in life. We don't want to be in doctor's appointments, and we don't want to be in procedures and having things done and having sicknesses. If those sicknesses come, God forbid, like cancers or this or that, we want to be in the best shape possible to receive it. And we're trying to mitigate or keep away those things if possible. But if not, we want to be in the best shape possible. So because we already, this is what I tell my husband, because we already enjoyed the heck out of it for several decades, we don't need to keep going back at it. Like I say, why do we don't have to go back there? We already did it. It's like been there, done that. So we've been there, done that. We've enjoyed every piece of animal that we could possibly enjoy because we ate everything. And we have wined and dined and done the fancy restaurants and the gourmet meals and the Michelin stars and this and that. That's the kind of eaters that we were. And now we've proven to ourselves that we can still enjoy that fanciness and that yumminess of food that we enjoyed being foodies. And that's why I call you guys foodies. That's why I call us foodies, because I still care about the food. But I've realized that with plant-based, we can still do that. We can still go to restaurants that have that food, that aren't going to kill us inside and that aren't going to produce unhealthy bodies. So a little tiny enjoyment, sometimes a treat, is not horrible, but it's not a constant day in and day out treat that was killing us. So that's our personal choice. I know sometimes the words that come out of my mouth can get radical, but in my head, that's how I talk to myself. So if I'm saying it to you guys, it's because I'm saying it to me, and I say it to my husband, and sometimes he rolls his eyes at me, and now he is there. And there are things that have helped us too, like the quotes on the refrigerator. We picked things that are quotes and sayings from Dr. Esselstyn and things that I've found through the internet and Instagram and things that get thrown in our face that resonate, and we put them on the fridge to remind us every time we open that fridge. We put our before and afters. We put our befores on top of the fridge, and then when we started having afters, we started putting the before and after there so we could not ruin our progress. The other thing that is on our fridge is your words. Your words help us. So you guys are an inspiration to us. So when you guys send those beautiful words of, I'm going to cry, but when you guys tell us that we're an inspiration to you, those words help us. Sorry. So do the things that are going to impact you to be able to, motivate yourself. Because what I care about and what we care about and what we decided to do with this page was to make sure that everybody knew that health is attainable and that you guys can live a different life than what you maybe are living now that you want to change. So because we feel good and we just want everybody else to know that they can do it too, and that it's not as difficult as you think it is. You just have to get over the mind part. So you have to get over the society mind part that they've been telling us, well, this is the food that you should be eating, and groceries sell you these things, and how could you possibly not eat meat, and people telling you those things. So I do this page because I just want people to have the access free, and I want people to have the information available. And I really care about the information that we put on the page, making sure it's accurate and factual. And I make sure that I check it and check with my sister so that I'm not putting things out there that are just subjective or my opinion. Having said that, I am sharing our personal stuff, so I'm telling you from our perspective. So you have to take what's going to work from our perspective into your life and apply it if it's going to work for you with certain things. Like, nobody could ever tell me eat bell peppers. That's not happening. Nobody could ever tell me to fill my plate with onions. That is not happening. I'll fill it with shallots and green onions and all the chives, but I'm never going to eat bell peppers. If I do, it'll be an event, and it will probably be celebrated by everybody that knows me. So you guys have to apply it however you do it. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. So, but I wanted to talk about because I've been hearing some of our members say, about the frustration part, or that their numbers aren't changing as quickly. And so just look at that frustration, look at the patient, put the patients in, and then look at what progress you have done. So if you start feeling that your pants are looser, you know that you're going the right way, because you're going to assume that you're doing right. And sometimes we lose weight and the numbers, blood work, don't start changing quickly yet. But with plant-based, it actually does, because we tried every single diet known to man, and my husband had lost weight before, and never did his blood work numbers ever improve. And if they did, it was so insignificant that it was always very frustrating. Every time he walked into the office, he was so excited when he would lose 30 pounds, and he would walk into that doctor's office so proud, and they would have done his blood work and nothing would have changed. So that's why he got converted to this, because it's the first time, and he's a nerd, and he has all his Excel spreadsheets and all the paperwork. So that is why he was convinced. and I say it all the time, and I feel like I always repeat too much stuff, but I know there's a lot of new people that haven't heard me say this. If you want to convince your husbands and have them do it with you, have them look at statistics and charts and chart their blood work and stuff, because my husband, if yours is like that, that is what convinced him, the stats on paper. And it was the first time that he ever walked in having blood work done and saw that a lifestyle, because I won't call it a diet, changed his blood work dramatically, which no diet and no exercise had been able to do. And he had tried it, and he had succeeded by exercising way more in his life in the last 5 years than he's ever done. And he would walk 4 or 5 miles a day, and he had lost weight that prior to us beginning plant-based, had lost 30 pounds prior to us beginning plant-based. And the doctors had told him, when you lose 30 pounds and you're exercising every day, and he had been doing it, we're going to be able to take you off medication and your numbers are going to come down. And nothing ever brought them down. And this is the only one that drastically did. And he couldn't believe it, because it was drastic. It was within 4 weeks that numbers were changing. It was that quick. So again, I'll repeat, make sure that if you're going like we did, 90% plant-based, that you're looking at yourself. And if you're doing it with a spouse or a family member, make sure that you're checking each other, because I was like watching him like a hawk, because my sister was like, make sure he doesn't pass out, make sure he's not getting faint, because blood pressure starts normalizing and trying to, and when you're on medication, you start feeling yucky and you start feeling icky, because your blood pressure is dropping, your A1C is dropping, your blood glucose levels are trying to normalize, cholesterol, all of it. So let me see if you have any questions. But we do not have a concierge physician. We have a DO. And so our DO is familiar with whole foods plant-based, and he's not a lifestyle medicine physician like my sister. I've told you all that if you have a physician that is not familiar with whole foods and plant-based and is not familiar with lifestyle and whole foods and plant-based to reverse diseases, that you can go on the American. I know that for you European, because we have people from all over the world on this page, but the Americans that are in the United States, we have the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. That is a group of physicians, just like if I'm saying pediatrics or orthopedics or OBGYN. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine are physicians that are specifically trained in holistic care, and the pillars, they go through, I think, 6 pillars that they guide themselves on to help patients. So if you want to have a physician that can help you reverse diseases, that can work with you, that's familiar with it, that whole food and plant-based is something that they're familiar with, go on the ACLM website, search it on the top of our page at the little symbol up at the top, that's the magnifying glass, search ACLM or search American College of Lifestyle Medicine. I have the link to it, and you guys can search on their page for a physician through your zip code and through your state or city or area, and you can see what choices are available in your area. Not everybody has it, because if you live in a more rural area, smaller town, you might have to travel to a bigger town to find an ACLM certified physician. Our personal physician, we do not have any ACLM physicians in our area. We have some about 25 minutes away, but we've chosen to go to DO, which is they're more holistically trained to treat the patient. Ours is very receptive. We actually have a new one. When we began plant-based, we had a physician that she knew plant-based. She herself ate healthier, but she was resistant as to if we could reverse diseases and take my husband off medications. She actually was very resistant. And because we were lucky that we had my sister, and my sister was advising us, and she was advising us on what to tell our physician, and we were working together, not just my sister, myself, and my husband, but my sister, myself, my husband, and our physician. by the time we had reversed diseases and lost a ton of weight and felt amazing, she was a believer. So she's now left the practice because she went to go work at an assisted living facility. So that's irrelevant. But the point is that when she left the practice, she was using us as an example to her patients. And when she introduced us to the new doctor coming into the practice, which is the DO that we have now, that is how she introduced us. These are the plant-based patients that I was telling you about. So she then became informed and a believer that plant-based can help reverse diseases. But we were the first people in her practice that had attempted it. She'd never been familiar, come across patients that had done it, and she didn't know that she could recommend it as an option or a medicine. So let's see if you guys have any other questions. I think that is it so that it doesn't run long. But if you guys have questions, put them at the bottom in the comment section, and then I always check, and then I answer when I get them. But I wanted to leave you guys with that. Patience, don't get frustrated, no frustration, patience, and progress. Look for that progress. And the more you are into it and the more changes you see over time, Jay always says 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. By 9 months, we almost felt like we were golden, like we were there, but we were committed 95%. So remember that, guys. We're committed. We were committed from the beginning. And remember that I cleaned out my pantry, fridge, and freezer and went cold-hearted cutthroat. Threw it away, donated it. Those were the only two options. Nothing got left in my house. So, and everything that came in is only whole food and plant-based. And for those of you that are starting or are not 100% familiar with it, go search on the search engine, the little magnifying glass up top, and search how to read labels, ingredient labels when I've done those videos, because that is the key to whole foods and plant-based. I was a terrific cook, loved to cook, and I had to relearn how to shop. I thought the things that I had in my pantry were healthy, and then I realized how unhealthy they were. So as I was throwing away, my sister was teaching me why they were unhealthy and why they needed to leave. And we only kept the things that were whole foods, and surprisingly, hardly anything, not even our oatmeal, was healthy, because it was not whole rolled oats, and like the packets of oatmeal and all that stuff, it's just filled with unnecessary added ingredients. The whole, I don't know if I lost you guys. I had a phone call come in, and it, I think, might have dropped me. So let me leave you on that, because I know this is going to get lengthy, but go look up at the little magnifying glass and search how to read labels, how to read ingredients, pantry. I have a lot of videos of what my pantry looks like. One of our members wants me to do a tour of my fridge and how I section it and how I have things organized for grab and go. So my fridge is about getting close to empty. So once it does and I do my grocery run, I'll do a grocery run video. I'll try to do another how to read labels and things video, and then I'll organize my fridge with all the groceries as I bring them in, and food prep. Like I say, food prep, don't meal prep. And then I'll show you guys how I keep a ton of food with food prepped and grab and go. So that's one of the things that I love the most. I hardly ever cook now because I have so much food that's prepared, frozen, that I can pull out, that I can then move from the freezer to the fridge, and it becomes grab and go, like my muffins and yogurt and things like that. Pre-cooked meals that I've made, that I've frozen, that I just pull out, you know, pasta sauces and things that, so I don't even have to cook. So for those of you that think this is a lot more work, it's not. I don't have kids. I don't have little kids at home, but if you take the time to sweat it out on 1 or 2 days, food prepping a bunch of stuff and freezing it and putting it away, you're golden. Bye, guys.